Evening, welcome to the Toon Review. Tonight we have a transfer show. Myself and Alex here to go through some of the latest news that we've seen transfer-wise on social media the past 2 or 3 days. And last night it really hotted up, so we've got some special players to look at and a couple of others, 3 or 4 maybe, and see what we get with them. But if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up also. It really helps us out. Subscription is important. We're already at 20.1. We only hit 20k last weekend. I'm already at 20.1, heading for 21,000 already. So any subscriptions, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Super chats are also available by clicking on the $sign. And if you want to become a member of the channel, which is a paid subscription basically, click on the join button and it'll take you through to a payment page to do that. We'll do some comments first before we go any further. Michael Ellison's here. Afternoon to you, evening to you. Feels like an afternoon, but it is evening now, isn't it, I guess? Hello, Billy and Alex, talk to you both. Well, thank you, Gareth. It's very kind of you. Richard's here. The show, 20 minutes from starting, and it already has 13 likes. That's good news. Hello to John. Hello to Paul. The show is being shared with Charter Merchandise. George T's here. Hi, George. Hope you're well. Evening, lads and lasses. Evening to Roger, Ash, Mr. Spoons, who I believe is doing a show later with Mr. Sinclair. Tom Lynch. Hello, mate. Mod in the background. Frau Brucker over in Ohio. Very nice. Very nice. Marius, hope you're well too. Cushy, hope you're well. Paul and Truls. Jan also. Call Me Swift is also here. Good evening to you. And Andrew Sinden and Woodby Farmer in New Mexico. Welcome to you. And Level 7 Dave's also here. So quite a few in the chat with us. It's welcome to all. Evening for Ian Fleming, Billy Ace, and Spike Milligan. Welcome to you lot. Julie J. Right, last night, Alex, a lot of news broke on Twitter regarding a certain player that we have you have reviewed before, done the stats for, but quite a solid link with a Spanish journalist, Jose Felix Diaz. Not sure how reliable he is, but however reliable he is, it's all spread to the British press today. The Mail are reporting it, I think the Express. You know, there's certain people like that about a certain player from Spain, from Celta Vigo. He's meant to be a real starlet.
Yeah, so Gabri Veiga, or Gabriel Veiga, if we want to use his full name. So we have reviewed him on a transfer show before. It was a couple of months ago now. It was, I think, if people want to go back and watch it to see if I was right or not, I think I was pretty close, to be fair. So it was from a transfer show from a couple of months ago, and the thumbnail has got Osimhen on the front, I believe, and it's like an hour in where we review Gabri Veiga. So yeah, the rumours have come back around significantly stronger this time, with a few journalists from Spain talking about him, and obviously a bunch of our lot and our media's jumped on it straight away. A lot of people suggesting it's close, and we're the people who are going to get him. So, being as it's so hyped up, we've kind of got to look at him first. There's nothing official, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it's definitely worth us having a look, so we're prepared for it, obviously, if he does sign, so we know who we're going to get.
This is the kind of player that we looked at. I mean, it kind of fits in with the Madison and the Szoboszlai stuff. Similar kind of player. Would it be one of the three, do you think, if we were to sign one, or would we get 2 of the 3? Oh, there's no way we're getting all 3, but is it more than one, perhaps?
It's difficult to say. Obviously, I think Vega's. There are rumours of a €40 million release clause, or a certain release clause, and he's not going to be as much as Szoboszlai would be, sort of upwards of, could go up as high as 70. Madison was, obviously further down, probably 40 to 50. So I reckon he's likely to be the cheapest of the 3. In terms of transfer fee and salary, to be fair, but he's also the least ready of the 3. But you're buying someone who's 20, who's rather good. You're not getting that instant quality in right now, and it depends. They might get another midfielder, and it might not be the only one.
So we have a look at him in detail. Let's share this screen, shall we? And see what we've got.
We got it up right. So yeah, Veiga, deceptively, he looks small on this graphic at 5'10", 148 pounds. He's definitely a bit beefier than his FB ref profile would suggest. He's definitely a bit of a unit in midfield. His sort of strength in that league is ball carrying and being a bit more physical. Not as much of a passer, but it is a little bit more of a battering ram and very, 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 very impressive positionally and ball retention wise for his age. Very, very clever. Takes up a lot of the same sort of positions that Sean Longstaff does. Arrives late into the box and is always in the right place at the right time. Offensively, likes to be on the end of offensive moves as well. Joins in with the attack. I'm not sure if he's got the right skill set to do what Longstaff does and rotate as a 6. He might be able to develop that, but it's not something he does at the moment. He will typically play with another DM alongside him if it's a 4-4-2 or something. But still, well, actually, he's just turned 21. Oh, funny that. I'm still thinking he's 20 in my head. So literally 5 days ago, he's turned 21. So happy birthday, Gabriel. Wages are not particularly prohibitive. He's on like $3,000 a week, which, I mean, I know that's a huge amount of money to a person like you and me, but to a footballer, that's absolutely nothing. So we could definitely amplify that somewhat. Contracted until June 2026, so we would have 3 years left on his contract at the end of this season. But it does look like there is some sort of release clause in there, we would imagine. So I talked about last time on the other show we reviewed him on. He's got 9 goals, 4 assists, but his expected output is considerably lower than that. Why would that potentially be the case? So I've watched a game in full of this kid since that show. And obviously, I've gone and watched a lot of highlights and looked at all of his goals and assists on top of that, as I'm sure some of you guys have also done. Are they sustainable, those sorts of finishes? Potentially. It's up to us and you guys and the club to judge. Well, it's up to the club really to decide. Do we think this guy's got the technical quality to maintain these kinds of finishes? You know, when you look at Almiron, I think we can safely say that he's improved, but he wasn't going to continue scoring the nature of goals he was scoring because he was scoring some absolute freak goals. Mm-hmm. Whereas this kid's scoring slightly more technical goals where he's just sort of bending it, or there's one nice one where he's lobbed the goalkeeper. And I feel like that's much more down. It's much more in his control and is a lot more down to technical quality. Rather than just percentages of taking an absolute worldy half volley outside the box, like some of the stuff that Miggy's been doing. Whereas this kid just hits them sweet and is very technically sound. So I think there's a lot more chance he can sustain his output. Maybe not quite as high, but even his numbers are rather good. There was a point, he's not continued scoring, but there was a point like last month where he was one of the most productive midfielders in the league for the amount of minutes he'd played in that position for midfielders, which is some testament when you think about the midfielders that grace La Liga is incredible. Right, let's go down and have a look at the important bit, shall we?
Before you do, Alex, let's do a super chat. Nathan Howes, 199. Seen a few links of Ryan Cherky. What do you think he has? We'll come back to that, I guess. But there's nothing on him tonight, is Alex?
Good player, but I've not seen. Could you throw those links to me on Twitter potentially? Whoever said that, I did. I just heard the player name.
Nathan Howes. So
it's Nathan. Yeah, Nathan. If you're on Twitter, just follow me and send me the links. I've not seen that. I know the player. I signed him on Football Manager a bunch of times, like in the last 3 years. He's he's obviously a decent player, but I've not seen any real life links for him. Right. So you guys might have already seen a few player comparisons, but we'll stick with the important stuff first. Ball carrier, primarily a ball carrier. Progressive carries are in the top 13%. Successful take-ons, again, 89th percentile. So elite level sort of ball carrying. When you consider that this is in the top 5 leagues, this takes into account sort of Champions League minutes, minutes from midfielders in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga and La Liga. So this is how he's comparing to all of those as peers. And he is profiling extremely well in that regard. When you factor in that Celta Vigo are not particularly strong at the moment, they're losing a lot of games. They're not a top side in Spain. I would like to imagine that his passing is a lot better than this, just even right now. I think if you plop him in a better team that's got a bit more control, I think his passing stats would suddenly jump up. And then I think he's also got the potential to progress his, that side of his game if he plays in a bit more of a dominant team that's got a bit more control and a bit more technical quality alongside him, because he is very much the guy. Like, he's worn the armband for this club, and he's 21 years old. So that kind of goes to show kind of what character he is. So I would like to see his progressive passes increase as well, and his pass completion rate and the amount of passes he's trying. And I think that will all go up anyway if he comes to a better club that's got more control. And I think he'll just get better. So I think that'll rise. I don't think that's a worry. Having seen him play, I'm not concerned about that at all. I think he's got the technical ability, he's got the awareness, he's got the intelligence. His tackle rate, it seems low on this graphic, but again, having watched him and having looked at a few other statistical sites to do with his pressures and how energetic he is extremely energetic. He is an absolute pressing monster. He's constantly on people's heels. There have been some criticisms from other people online that sometimes he maybe overcommits in a press, but I think we'll get him straight with that if he comes to us and make sure he knows his pressing responsibilities. So yeah, his defensive output is rather good in terms of a pressing nature, and I think his statistics here would also improve. You've got to remember with pressing, it's a unit. You've got to be a unit for the press to work. So if you're the only one pressing in a team, you're working really hard, but you're not going to get any credit for it in your statistics, because you're not going to make the tackle or the interceptions because you're the only one pressing. They're just going to dink it around you. Whereas if you're in a team that's going to press as a unit, all of a sudden you're going to start getting an extra tackle, an extra interception, an extra block, an extra this, and all of a sudden your defensive stats are going to spike through the roof if you're in a team that can commit together to the press. So I think, on the passing and the pressing side of it, I don't think there's much to worry about. I think he's shown the right attributes there. Shot volume, 98th percentile. I mean, rather good, rather good. Considering this is somebody that would potentially slot into the Sean Longstaff role, this guy offers everything that Sean doesn't, in terms of that added technical quality, the shot volume, the shot creating actions. So if he can also offer the energy and the physicality that Sean does, get 4 years younger, absolute steal potentially. And when we compare him to his peers that he's been rated next to, we see Joe Willock on this list in 9th. So anybody that's profiling similarly to Joe Willock, obviously Eddie Howe would love. We absolutely love Willock and how much energy his work rate, his driving with the ball. So if he's anything like Willock, but add a bit of sort of technical Spanish spice, then that would be amazing. Profiling like Daichi Kamada as well, that we've looked at before. You've also got Eberichi Eze up top, who has been incredible for Crystal Palace. Has got his England call up, deservedly so. So it just goes to show you kind of how Veiga's playing. If you've never seen him play, this gives you a little bit of an idea. So scroll down and see his last few matches. This is what I'm saying. You've got to take his stats with a pinch of salt. He's profiling extremely well, but he's also in a poor side that's losing a lot of games. So that is a factor. His career so far. So Celta Vigo 17th. So what? They just escaped the drop by one place in La Liga.
Yeah.
But Veiga started 27 games, so that's a decent season for him as a young man to get 27 starts and 35 appearances. 2,200 minutes is lovely. His output was excellent. So, but he's not had much going on. Obviously, he broke through last season. I think he played a lot of minutes for the reserves last year, managed to get 7 appearances. But it's this season that he's really, really, really broken through and taken off. So I'm going to bring you to an article from FotMob, because there is a nice little article from last month. Everybody last month was talking about him going to Manchester United and other Spanish clubs. Obviously, we've been linked with him a little bit more recently. And it's just a little bit from the club president, Carlos Moreno. So Celta Vigo will not negotiate a sale for highly rated midfielder and instead insist on the triggering of his €40 million release clause, according to club president. So if this has been stated by the club president, then you would imagine there definitely is a release clause, which is not too bad. So let's go and have a look at his transfer market. So Porrinho, 1 cap for the under-21s in Spain. I've already mentioned this before in another show. If you are involved in that international setup in any regard in Spain, it's an achievement, because to get into that sort of group is massive kudos. It really is. So one thing I wanted to highlight, you can see I've got this highlighted here, is his player agent, Gol Internacional. This is the juicy gossip here, is his player agent. So if we go onto his player agent here, I've got to go away. So onto his player agent here, you can see the clients for Gol International. Who is on here that
the one sticking out like a mile, yeah.
Sean Longstaff. So of course Sean changed his agent, didn't he? Not that long ago, and it's the same representation as Veiga's got, which is rather curious. I don't know if it's going to have any bearing on a transfer, but it can't be a bad thing, can it? It definitely can't be a bad thing, especially the fact that Sean's a little bit more invested in the club than most, because he's literally from the city and has come through the academy. Even though Veiga is going to be, wanting his position, who knows?
Can we see the name of the man that runs that company on the right-hand side there? The PD Zahavi is a very famous agent, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very much liked in lots of circles. I want to say.
Well, but you can see the representation there. You've obviously got Mitrovic on there, but it's unclear. Well, it's unclear to me. I've not researched that far back who Mitrovic's agent was back in the day, obviously when we had dealings with it. So it's definitely possible that we've had other dealings with this agency. I mean, if I scroll down, we can have a look, can't we? I don't think there's anybody on here we've ever sort of dealt with. Not that I can see. Oh, they've got a few managers as well. Cannavaro. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But the fact that Sean Longstaff is on this list is very, very, very curious. And I don't, for some reason, I don't have SofaScore up. Let's get rid of a James Maddison page. I thought I did have a page up, excuse me. So, yeah, that is not 5'10". 184 is not 5'10". He's grown. 184 is, I think that's probably more like 6 foot. It's got to be, surely that's got to be 6 foot. So scroll down and have a look at his recent performances. So lots of mid sixes plus. There's obviously one that's a bit lower. So let's have a look at some of his more recent performances. We've got against Cadiz.
Some of the players he's got to play with each week. I know he's got Iago Aspas, but he's not there.
They've swapped to a 4-3-3. Very nice. Wow. And he's on the right-hand side of that. So they were playing a 4-4-2. So changed to a 4-3-3 apparently. You can see that heat map now is very much what Sean Longstaff would be profiling as, although Longstaff might spend a little bit of time sort of here and maybe down in this role as well. But you can see he's very much an offensive midfielder. 72% passing accuracy with 3 key passes is nice. He's managed to get a cross and a long ball in as well, contributing from the midfield. 2 successful dribbles. Physically doing all right, 4 out of 9 ground duels, winning a couple of area duels as well. So a solid performance, to be fair, in a team that, again, did finish 17th. You've got to appreciate that they're losing most of these games. They lost to Cadiz, so they drew to Girona. Let's have a look at that game. They went again for another 4-3-3. He's been everywhere here, but it doesn't look like they had much of the ball. Statistics. Let's have a look at that game. So they only had 40% of the ball. Yeah, I mean that shows. So not as much going on here. 12 out of 14 passes. Definitely didn't see much of the ball with 26 touches, but tried his best when he had the ball to make things happen. Completed all of his dribbles, 3 out of 3. Half of his ground duels. Really trying to get stuck in there with 4 fouls. 2 was fouled, so he's going to have to sort of temper that a little bit. We're not going to get away with having him and Joe Linton in the same side. We'll get told off. Let's go and have a look at that loss as well for extra. Oh, God. Oh, no, what's going on here?
He's playing up front now.
Yeah, so this is one thing that I was going to mention is he did get deployed up front for a couple of games. So I think there's maybe 2 games of data where he's played as a forward. So this is how desperate they are. They're basically trying to put their best man as far up the field as they can. And he didn't do too bad with it. You can see it's not quite worked out positionally here. He's managed 2 shots on target. again, the statistics aren't going to be quite the same because he's not playing the same role. It's a bit different here. He drew 3 fouls though, so you can see that sort of intelligence and positioning from his age. He's doing okay physically, and yeah, just in a poor side, so it's kind of difficult to see as much from him. I mean, his best rating on this page is in a 3-1 loss against Villarreal. We can have a look at where he played on there. So, did he get subbed on? He must have been subbed on. Where are you? There he is. He got subbed on. So he only played 27 minutes in this game, but you can see it was to try and chase it potentially. He was brought on to try and make a difference, and he did okay there. A key pass, managed a couple of long balls, reasonably tidy passing accuracy. Yeah, so you can see what this kid's about. He's a ball carrier. He's the best way of describing him. Obviously, he's profiling similarly to an Eze and a Joe Willock, but I think this kid's possibly got a little bit more, I don't want to say more technically about him, because some of Joe Willock's technical sort of displays this season have been absolutely incredible. But this guy, if he can improve his passing, which I definitely think he can, I think he offers a bit more pressing energy and intelligence, because I don't think Willock is as impressive in the press. I've said press too many times. Whereas I think Veiga could be massive for us potentially, and the age is great. Only 21 years old, so it's keeping the age nice and low. And depending on outgoings and how much money we've got, we might be able to afford somebody else to play in a midfield role, or in a sort of multi positional player or something. But if there's any truth in this, I'd be happy with this signing. It's not quite a Maddison or a Szoboszlai, but it would still be a great signing.
I mean, the price he is as well, 40 million euros, what, about 36 million quid? Not a lot. It's in the scheme of things for an attacking midfielder, not a lot of money. His wages are really low. You can offer him, I don't know, maybe 60, 70k. He'd be happy with that, surely. And the potential the lad's got.
I don't think. Right. I think there's going to be one of two things happen with this kid. I think he's got the pick of the bunch. I think he could go to most places. I think a lot of the Spanish clubs would like him. I think a couple of Bundesliga clubs like a Dortmund might like him. I think a few Premier clubs are going to want him. So I think it's first and foremost going to come down to how the agent approaches the negotiation, what the wages, what demands are going to be. And then secondly, who does he like? It depends on the player personalities. Some players, they like to go around and visit every stadium. They want to chat to the manager. They want to take their parents along, whereas other players will be like, right, what contract are you going to put down on this table? Or what is your club vision? Like, it depends. Or maybe this kid's going to want a combination of all of those things. We're not privy to that, unfortunately. But he's very, very gettable. I mean, our project is great, and I think we can safely say to him, we've got a lot of gaps in midfield. You will play a ton of minutes for us in a good style that suits you. You're ready-made for our system right now. You will play tons of minutes. We can offer you Champions League football. Come and play for us and you'll be a hero. I think we can offer him a really good package. And if there's any truth in Bruno getting an improved contract, it means we are probably going to raise the ceiling on our
wage structure.
So we've got more wiggle room to move into with incoming transfers this summer if the highest cap is a bit higher, because then we can start putting like matching highest earner clauses and things like that in, and bonuses for Champions League and da. So yeah.
Well, Drill Connoisseur says apparently he's the next David Silva, but I mean, David Silva was a hell of a player, but I don't like making comparisons from age to age. Do you?
I wouldn't agree with David. So David Silva was a lot more, his passing and movement is small, technical, low center of gravity, a little bit different. Veiga's a bit bigger, a bit more of a, battering ball carrier than if that makes sense. It's not quite the same player. It's like if you made Rodri play like David Silva, bit more like that. If that makes any sense.
That's what David Sovereign says here. Veiga is quite combative. He's a better Willock / Longstaff type.
Yeah, I'd say he's somewhere between Longstaff and Willock. I think he's in the middle of those two profile-wise.
Yeah, it'd be interesting signing. He's the go-to Spanish player at the minute. As young players go, he's the one they're expecting most of. So if we were to kind of get him in, it'd be a massive coup for us, wouldn't it? I mean, as you say, Real Madrid are after him, Barcelona, Manchester United. I think Manchester City were interested at one point, Bundesliga clubs. So, like you say, he's got the pick of where he wants to go, and if we can entice him here, it'd be a massive statement, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I don't think it would be too expensive either. Yeah, I don't know if it's a rumor. I know a few people have put that, but there's been the thing is it's come from a few journalists in Spain, and the problem is with football nowadays is there's obviously quite respected journalists, but then you get journalists who write for like The Sun in the Mirror, and it's like, I mean, I would say no disrespect to those publications, but I don't mean that, so I'm going to leave it out there. It just depends on how much you trust certain publications, and what we do on this channel is if there's been, reasonable links, we'll review a player.
Yeah.
I can't confirm whether they're good links. It's not come from Sky, or it's not come from Fabrizio Romano or anybody who's got a little bit more of a sort of a better reputation, but it has come from legitimate journalists, so we've got to give it airtime, really. And to be completely honest, logically makes a lot of sense. Fits the wage structure, transfer price is appropriate, the position is appropriate, the age is appropriate. So, it makes sense logically. There's no reason why this can't be true. It's not like a Messi transfer, is it? It makes sense.
Strangely enough, people have been talking about him today as well, haven't they? But
oh Christ, have they? I haven't seen that.
Well, he's definitely leaving PSG at the end of the season, so people are putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 4,328. But there's absolutely no way we'll be signing Lionel Messi. You can quote me on that too. Geordie Huayman says his stats are even better considering Salta have been in a relegation battle all season.
Yep.
Their star player is Iago Aspas, isn't it? And I noticed he wasn't hardly on any of those team lineups that we had on the screen a minute ago.
Yeah,
maybe
I haven't looked at what's gone. Maybe he's injured, or I don't know. I haven't looked that much into it, to be fair. I watched a game like very recently after we did that last transfer show, which was a while ago. So I think they were still playing a 4-4-2 the last time I saw them play, but seemingly they've swapped their formation. They even tried a Red Bull 4-2-2-2. How many 2-2s do you do? I don't know. It's a few twos.
Scott says, did anyone see Mourinho call the ref a cheat in the car park after last night's game? Great stuff.
Yeah, I miss Mourinho. Mourinho's great.
He did get very heated, didn't he?
I thought Anthony Taylor, I watched that game last night. It was the most boring game I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Anybody who gives us any criticism for the way we play as a club needs to go watch that final. I know Mourinho was trying his best, but I thought Anthony Taylor had a brilliant game. I thought refereeing wise, I thought the officials were fine. They weren't letting them get away with any kind of nonsense or simulation at all. In fact, they booked a few players for diving. And I tell you one thing, I said this to you, didn't I, Billy? I messaged you this. I'm so happy we didn't get Belotti after watching his performance last night. I thought Belotti was the laziest player I've ever seen.
What a scarecrow, wasn't he? Just stood there.
Oh. As soon as he looked like he was remotely sort of going to lose a challenge, he just gave up. He wouldn't chase any lost balls down, nothing. Just disgraceful player. I'm surprised because back in the day, that's the kind of player that Mourinho would have subbed off for doing that.
Yeah, he would have, definitely, without a doubt. We've got a £5 super chat from Ian Fleming. He says, love listening to Alex and his stats. You really know your stuff, Alex. Thanks for that super chat, Ian. And your ongoing and continued support of the channel. It's a very generous benefactor of the channel. Thanks very much.
I don't know my stuff. I just do it. I just watch far too much football and do it all the time. I need other hobbies.
You've got to take the wolf with the smooth, though. Last night's game was appalling, but
it was terrible.
Really bad. And so some dark arts going on as well. I say Newcastle are masters of dark arts. There was some awful stuff going on. That elbow from Lamella.
Yeah, but I saw the replay of that, and I don't think he really. I'm not sure.
I don't think he meant it. No, but I mean, it did hurt. It pretty hurt, didn't it?
I think he did put his elbow back to be physical, but I don't think he was expecting the sharp bit of his elbow to go in his mouth. I think that was just unlucky.
It was just the reaction. Yeah, how it ended up. Not very nice. How are clubs already signing players, i.e. Liverpool, City and Man United, yet the window's not even open? No one's signed anyone yet, have they?
Yeah, but you can. You just get it so...
contract.
Yeah, but you can. You just get it so the contract starts when the transfer window opens. Like, clubs don't really care anymore. There's no more competitive fixtures. So, they've still got the Conference League final and the Champions League final. Beyond that, there's no more competitive fixtures. And Manchester United have obviously got the FA Cup final against City. So, no, I'm going to say that the other way around. Manchester City have got the FA Cup final against Manchester United.
Yeah, going for a treble, of course, which Manchester United would love to deprive them of, but I can't see it. Mason Mount looks like he's about to go to Man United. That's an interesting move, isn't it?
I think this is good for us.
Yeah,
I think that's great for us because, I mean, I think Mount's a great player. However, it means that Man United aren't going to be looking at certain players we're looking at now if they filled that position. So that's great. One less thing to worry about. Absolutely brilliant.
Terms, haven't they?
It does look like Chelsea are starting to try and clean up shop based on financial fair play, because obviously if they sell homegrown players, they're going to get 100% profit for it reflected on their books. So if they sell players like Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher and Mount, it's really going to help them try and offset whatever garbage their FFP book looks like at the moment, which is probably a dumpster fire. So that's probably why they're doing it.
Kevin says, I want Szoboszlai. We are in the Champions League now and Veiga isn't going to be ready for it yet.
I don't think you can say that. I think that's a little bit ignorant and naive. You could be right. You 100% could be right. However, look at the age of Isak and Botman when they came in and look at how appropriate they are for the Champions League. It would seem like we don't know that.
He's got the potential to be an absolute superstar, though, hasn't he? Let's be Veiga, versatile as well. Even though he's an attacking midfielder, he is very versatile. I think over time, he will develop into
and I wouldn't worry too much. Like it might not be Veiga and then no one else in midfield. I wouldn't worry because you've got to remember that we've been looking at midfielders that can also profile as a winger. Like Maddison can play out on the right, as can Szoboszlai, to be fair. So I mean, to be completely honest, probably Veiga could as well at this point, depending on what shape we play. It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't worry about it. I reckon we get more players in anyway.
Seth says, I was playing FM earlier, and guess who scores against me in Bundesliga 2? The Finn Luca Lackenmacher. Right, next player to get on the screen. There we go.
Oh, I need to change to this one.
There you go.
Arkadiusz Milik. I don't want to do this one, but we'll do this one. we can do this one. This is a funny one. I don't think this will happen. I think this is nonsense, in my opinion. It doesn't seem like a signing for the club. It doesn't fit the profile. It doesn't fit like what we're going for at the moment. That contract is also, ignore that. His contract does not expire in 2023. That is his contract with Juventus because he's on loan there from Marseille. I'm pretty sure he's got like an extra 2 years on that. So we'd have to pay a transfer fee for him as well. I don't want to be paying, I wouldn't pay 5 biscuits for Arkadiusz Milik. I like him. I love his career. I like him as a player. But for me, this feels like he's right. He's been incredible in parts of his career. Like for Napoli, he was amazing. He was part of that team that was challenging second. He was great, and he was scoring bundles of goals. But now he's 29, and he reminds me of a Polish Chris Wood. He just does. And for people who might criticize me for saying that, I lived in Poland for 4 years. I have seen this guy play in person many times. I watch every single Poland international match. I've seen his home club play. I'm very familiar with this guy. Very familiar. No, I don't think it's appropriate for our system, for how we play. I don't think he's at the level required. I do think he ticks a lot of boxes in terms of his experience. He's got tons of international minutes, tons of buckets and buckets of Champions League and Europa League experience. Really, really experienced guy. I just think he's one of those players that I don't know how to describe it. He plays like he's already 33, even though he's 29. Like Ryan Fraser. Everybody thinks Ryan Fraser's like 33, and he's not. He's like 28. Arkadiusz Milik is the same. He's just not very mobile and versatile. It's very much a Route 1 kind of style. And, I feel like we just need a bit. We're already giving Wilson a bit of license to not be as energetic as we'd like because of how much we love him and how prolific he is, a proper fox in the box. I don't think it would be appropriate for us to have another player that we also have to say, well, he's just not that kind of player. So, right, I'll stop yakking. Let's look at his stats. 7 goals this season is still really, really tidy in 1,500 minutes, to be fair. His output's still fine. The wages are not prohibitive. It's in and around what we could pay. It's not a problem. Left-footed, I'll add that on as a bonus for him. We don't have many left-footers in the squad. It would offer us something else. And he is physically decent at 6'1". He's a stocky guy. So let's scroll down and have a look at how he's profiling.
What's the story, Alex, with his move from Napoli? When did he go to Marseille? Was it last summer?
No, it was a few years ago now.
Right.
I can go down and show you his career. So he's had a very long career. So he started. He didn't start at Górnik Zabrze. He actually started in was it Reków Katowice. He started in Katowice, which is like a religious town in Poland, and he moved to Górnik Zabrze. Got moved to Leverkusen, Augsburg, Ajax. Did very well in the Eredivisie, and then obviously most people remember him for his time at Napoli. Was very, very competent. Most of his peak was in Napoli. He obviously got 17 goals here. He got 11 goals here. So he was decent. Moved to Marseille and was again okay. You've got to consider he's only getting 14 starts, 15 starts, 9 goals, 7 goals. So his goal return for how many minutes he's playing is still extremely good. I know I'm maybe a bit biased in terms of his quality, but again, we could say the same thing about Chris Wood. If you go and look at Chris Wood's stats, he was scoring more than 10 goals every single game in the Premier League, but we all know what he actually plays like. It's one of them where, he does put up the goals, but I just don't think he's appropriate for our team at the moment necessarily. So yeah, on loan at Juventus, he's done fine this season, but obviously I don't know why Marseille wanted to loan him out. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. So let's go and have a look at his stats. So pass completion's really tidy. Tackles is okay, but other than that, he is middle of the park or less than middle of the park for everything else. His shot volume is quite low for a striker. His XG is quite low. His non-penalty goals is okay. Well, it's more than okay. It's above average. So 0.39 goals per 90. So he's going to get a goal for you every 2 and a bit games. So his output, that's it. If it wasn't, he's keeping a job because he's scoring goals, but he's not doing much else. You can kind of understand how he plays based on who his stat matches are. So you've got Arnautovic on here, who everybody remembers how he used to play, but Arnautovic is not as mobile as he was back in the day. Cavani, everybody knows how he played for Man United. He's a great player, so technically good and experienced, but he couldn't play that sort of energy system anymore. His legs had gone. And it does concern me that Milik is 29 and he's profiling like Cavani, and Cavani's like 40 billion years old. It's rather concerning to me. Anyway, we'll move past that. We'll have a look at his transfer marked. 67 caps for Poland is exceptional. He is, I don't want to say legend, but he is part of the furniture there. 16 goals as well is incredibly impressive. Why are there so many pop-ups on transfer market? Go away. Right, so they do have an option to buy, it would appear, Juventus, but I fear that Juventus have quite a few issues going on at the moment, so I'm not sure whether that's going to get triggered. We will see. I assume not. Let's have a look at his agent, because I've not actually looked at his agent yet. Who do they represent? Oh, it's a bunch of Polish people. Okay, so we've got Kozlowski, Benedicak. I don't know any of these people. These are teams within Poland, so that's thingy, isn't it? Gdańsk. Yeah, this is it will be Polish representation. I'm surprised he's still got Polish representation, to be honest. That's bizarre. Oh, excuse me. Couldn't hold that in. Couldn't get to the mute button in time. It's fine. You can hear me sneeze. Right. SOFA score for Milik. We've got penalty taking, anchor play, finishing. That's fair. Yeah. He is good at all of those things. I forgot that having an extra penalty taker in the squad might not be a problem. Let's go and have a look at some good games then, shall we? Oh God, he dropped an absolute howler against Empoli. mean, we've got to look at the howler, haven't we? I promise I'll give him some good games. So, strike partner for Vlahovic in this game with a 3-5-2. He got subbed off. Oh dear. So that would presumably be the kickoff, and then that's the rest of the game. So he played 58 minutes. He did get half an XG pretty much with the shot on target. He hit the woodwork. He completed all of his passes. So, oh dear, 1 out of 6 aerial duels is not very good. But it looked like he didn't do terrible in terms of when he was in front of goal, he was okay, but poor everywhere else.
I mean, Chesney's. I mean, all looking pretty low scores.
I mean, they conceded 4. They had a bad game there. Lewis Ferguson. That's a funny name to be playing for. Who are you? I'm going to go and have a look at who that is afterwards. So in a 4-3-3, he got a goal in this game, dropped a much better rating. He got Kostic and Chiesa around him, much more involved in build-up, far more touches of the ball, I would imagine. Yeah, 50 touches, 1 expected goal. He got his goal. 3 shots on target, is nice and healthy. Physically reasonably good in this game. Yeah, looks decent here. So Arkadiusz Milik, look, it's one of those players that if we got to the end of the season and we thought like, right, could we do with an additional striker as cover because we've got a big season? Who's available for free? Okay, I'm fine with that. Bring Milik in. I wouldn't cry about it. However, the fact that he's got 2 years left on his contract, I think you're going to have to pay for him. I don't think he's good enough to be paying money for right now, from our perspective. But he is a really, really solid player. Left-footed, penalty taker, traditional striker, buckets of experience. He would do a good job for us as a third choice. However, he would definitely be a third choice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We could be after a third choice. I mean, I'm sure he's not going to expect Wilson Isak to go for the season unscathed. That's a lot of money to be paying a third. Well, we did pay that for Chris Wood, didn't we? He was on 100k a week, wasn't he? So something like 80,000 euros a week isn't excessive. But it doesn't inspire me, I must be honest.
The thing is with Milik is he's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's always played second fiddle to Lewandowski at international level. It never was. I mean, he was tasked with leading the line a fair bit at Napoli, but apart from that, he's always played second fiddle. Not at Marseille. At Juventus, you've got Vlahovic in there. He's always been overshadowed by Lewandowski. So I'd take him on a free, but I think there are better options out there. I'll support him if he puts on the black and white shirt, but I think this is very, very unlikely. I think this is like 1% chance. I don't think this will happen. I'll tell you what I'll say. If we sign Milik, I'll get his shirt because I don't think it's going to happen. But if we sign him, I'll go buy a shirt for him because I don't think we're going to sign him. I think it's absolutely no way.
Interesting. I don't think it's buying. I think we will be certainly after a third choice striker, but whether it be, I think we'd rather go for a young lad who's got potential rather than someone that's over the top, maybe
a versatile wide forward who can play along the front line.
Yeah,
whereas this is a 29-year-old who can play in one position as a brick. It's not like. I just don't think it's what we're looking for.
He looks slightly over the top too, to be fair. Zisham with the $4.99 super chats, and I'm sure Paul is watching this, mate. Get a drink on me. Billy and Alex, you are both diamonds who are doing a cracking job. Cheers, Zisham. Thanks very much, mate. Another fellow Coventry in there. The kind generation. Generous. What's the word for it? There's a word.
Donation?
Donation. That's the word I was thinking of. Couldn't think of the word donation. How weird. So Arkadiusz Milik, yeah, he's a left field kind of link that was out there today. Clive says, Eddie Howe, if you're watching this transfer show on Toon Review, please don't buy Tielemans. He's a quitter. He gave up after 8 minutes Monday. After New Year, he spits his dummy out. He's certainly got attitude problems, I would say, but I don't think that's a bit harsh.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that's too harsh. I think he's not shown any fight in any games I've watched of him. Sort of January and onwards, I don't think he's shown any fight. There's no doubt the technical quality's there. He's an elite level player when you think about his technical ability. but he's massively lacking on everything else, I think.
I guess he's one of these players that when a team's on top, he's all right, but if they're behind the 8 ball a bit, yeah, he's not really one to put his hand up, is he? Paul is just taking a couple of days out from live shows. We'll be back with us very soon, but he's taking just a bit of a break. And he's entitled to do that with what he's been through. Sophia says, is Veiga just a rumour or is an actual link? No, there's been links through to that Spanish press, and then it's crossed over to here, and the English press have also.
Yeah, so the rumours. So when we did Veiga last time, it was just rumours, and now it's like proper Spanish journalists have said we think it's happening.
Yeah, a lot of people asking about Paul. Someone here says, I'd love to be signed Mikel Merino. I guess that would be a more advanced version of what Veiga is at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he'd be double the price.
He would be. We should never let him. Well, we could not let him go, I guess. But imagine Steve Bruce managing Mikel Merino. It just wouldn't have worked, would it? He'd have sold him before, wouldn't he? He'd never got to Eddie Howe, that's for certain. Okay, so Sai says, how does Veiga compare to Szoboszlai? That's an interesting question.
I mean, I can put their FB refs next to each other if you want me to. Give me a minute. Let me bring them up.
We'll come back to that then.
I mean, I think a fairer question is asking to put them next to Sean Longstaff, because we don't have either of those players. We can have a look at both. What's his name? Veiga. Right. There you go. So I've got Longstaff up. So that's Longstaff. So Longstaff, obviously, high amounts of touches in the attacking penalty area, high amounts of progressive passes received. Shot volume is healthy at 1.18. Assists is decent. 75th percentile is nice and high per 90. So if we look at Veiga, so the thing here is he's a much better ball carrier. So it's like I said, it's like if you take Joe Longstaff. Oh, I've done a Paul there, not Joe Longstaff. No. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. I stick by that. This guy is Joe Longstaff. It's Joe Willock and Sean Longstaff mixed together. It's taking the best bits of Sean Longstaff and making him a ball carrier. That's who Veiga is. He's 6 foot. He's very, very good at carrying the ball and completing successful take-ons, getting round players as well. I think he can improve his passing, his shot volume. So he's getting an extra 1 and a bit shots per game on what Sean Longstaff's offering, and his shot creating actions is much, much higher. So, but just for the sake of argument, I'll look at Szoboszlai for you so you can see. So here is Big Dom. So this is how Big Dom's profiling. So Big Dom, much less of the ball carrying and the sort of touching the ball in the penalty area, and he's much more of a passer. So profiling very differently. Shot volume is a bit lower as well. But again, this is an attacking midfielder versus winger, so it's different stats.
Yeah.
So they are kind of different players. They are very different players. It's just how it is anyway.
But of the three, you'd say that Veiga's got them more of a goal threat, wouldn't you? Looking at those stats.
I mean, it's a small sample size. He's got better statistics per 90 at the moment based on what he's done this season. I don't think it's fair for me to say that he's a better goal scorer or has better output than any others. I think that's unfair. I think Maddison's got the overall the most output, but when you look at per 90 and you factor in, well, does one play on the wing more? Does one play defensive midfield, sort of attacking midfield? There's so many different variables in it. It would be unfair for me to say. But yeah. Do you want me to move on to the next person?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we can see who we've got next. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Shall I do this rating in the... Shall I do it in an accent? So, guys, next we've got Tyler Adams with his 0 goals and 0 assists from 0.1 XG. I'm definitely going to turn into Ted Lasso if I continue this. Let's switch the accent off. Leeds have gone down. Right, I already know. I can hear you typing. There's 3 of you typing. No, we don't want to buy anybody from a relegated side. Shush. I don't care. There are always good players in relegated sides. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Hull went down, and they got Andy Robertson from them for Liverpool. There are exceptions, okay? And maybe we can get one of those exceptions. We're allowed to talk about it. I'm not saying we're going to sign him. All right, now I've done that. His middle name is Sean. So Tyler Sean Adams, from Wappingers Falls, New York. £55,000 a week. So the wages are absolutely fine. You know, we can match it, we can increase it, not a problem at all. Age profiles very well compared to our midfield. Would be nice and tidy. He's physically at the right sort of standard. What we're looking at, we're not looking for somebody who's 5'5" in midfield. We're looking for slightly more physical presences in our side. Yeah, he's not scored or really done anything. He's got 1.4 xG. Yeah, the next Kaka. Yeah, that's a fair comparison, to be fair. Although Kaka's
baby Kaka, they call Gabri Veiga.
Yeah, but his passing was considerably better as well. But yeah, little ball carriers. So 2,100 minutes. Let's go down and have a look at the important bits then. So statistically, I mean, considering he's in an absolutely shocking lead side, I don't think that's too bad. I honestly don't think that's too bad. Considering how poor Leeds have been this season and the fact they have gone down, I don't think he's profiling too bad here at all. He's in the 69th percentile for passes attempted. Progressive passes is quite high. Pass completion is really healthy. So the passing side of it is still really tidy when you consider how poor Leeds have been. And then his defensive output is gigantic. Nearly 4 tackles per 90 is enormous. His contribution defensively there is through the roof, again, in a poor team. You would imagine if you plop him in a better team, he would get better statistics in terms of his ball carrying. Possibly his passing statistics might go up a little bit as well. And he would probably get a few more, maybe an extra shot per game, and be, have a bit more license. So I'd imagine if you take this guy and plop him in a better team, all of this would instantly improve, just by nature. I think he's profiling quite well considering how Leeds have done this season. I like it as an option. I'm not saying we should. If you look at who he's profiling, like Boubacar Kamara, who went to Aston Villa as a free transfer at the start of the season, obviously was one of the most highly rated young midfielders in Europe before he went to Aston Villa, and now he's at Aston Villa, so nobody cares. Fabinho, obviously, we know how good he has been. Fair enough, he's dropped off a little bit this season with mistakes and issues, but we know how good he was. Idrissa Gana Gueye, I know people don't like Everton, but Idrissa Gueye is an incredible player on his day. He's obviously not quite what he was, but it is what it is. It gives you a bit of sort of an idea of the flavour, kind of how he plays. Should we see his career? So Leipzig is the main bit here. He was signed, obviously, from Leipzig. Big expectations there. That's why he profiles so well, because he has been taught how to play football by the Germans and not by the Americans. Sorry there. I don't know.
Who was manager of Leipzig? Who was manager of Leipzig when he was there?
I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Marshy Boy at some point, but he will have obviously had other managers at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't Marsh for the whole time. I don't think Marsh was there for particularly long. So he's had a good career.
It would have been him that brought him into Leeds, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not sure about that. Potentially, yeah. In the summer, it's very possible. Yeah. But I think this is a kid who is about to sort of be peak age as a midfielder. So it depends on who wants to take a gamble on him, if people want to do. But he definitely looks like he could be really successful. It is a gamble. What? Go away, silly adverts. Right, so we will open up his agent as well in there. So 36 caps for the USA is obviously enormous, which is good experience for him. And will translate into good experience for whoever he joins if he leaves Leeds. He is contracted until 2027, however, so it is a little bit prohibitive in terms of the length of contract he's got. It does depend on if there's any relegation clauses in there. Who knows? It doesn't say anything about it here, but there very well could be something to do with relegation. Current market value is 20 million, although I don't think they would accept that. I think that's nonsense. They paid, what did they pay for him? 17 million euros. They wouldn't accept. No, absolutely no way. I don't think they would accept that, especially not from another Premier League club. has played in different positions out
Someone from a
wide.
Premier League club, they're not a Premier League club anymore. They might not be in a position to turn down 15, 17 million.
Yeah. However, it depends if they sell anyone else and what their financial situation is. They might accept bids for other players, and they might choose to keep this kid. It depends.
Yeah.
So he's been with the national setup all the way back to the under-15s. Let's have a look at his agent, shall we? It's in London. Right. So we've got Evan Ferguson's part of that. Anybody else we know? It's quite a young. Got lots of young players with lower values.
Tom Lawrence was at Derby, now at Rangers. I can see him there.
Yeah, Luke Thomas. Tierney, don't know. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at SofaScore. Let's have a look at some games. Strength is tackling. Oh, I really don't want to look at the games that were under Big Sam because it's just terrible. Right.
Did he play against us? He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he was injured, wasn't he? So there's no data for him for beyond the 11th of March for some reason.
Oh, right.
Has he been injured for that long? I know he's had his injury issues, but let's go and check that, Bins, as we're talking about him. Injury history. Why is it not showing his 2023 issues? That's strange. I don't know why. So why is it not showing any more data? I'm pretty sure he's injured, but it's not showing on the website, so never mind. Maybe somebody in the chat can enlighten me on that. All right, so the last time we played in a 4-2-3-1, which was a 2-2 draw against Brighton, which is no joke. We know how good Brighton are. We know how much we had to work to get a decent result against them. It was tough. Nice heat map here, especially against Brighton. To obviously complete 90% of your passes against Brighton with 60 touches is phenomenal. To be fair to him, so you can see it against a highly technical side. He's actually come out okay with this. Completed a dribble, 2 out of 5 ground duels. It's not too bad in a very tough game. Presumably, he's done okay. He was up against Pascal Gross, Caicedo, McAllister, Mitoma, Solimarch. Like, that's a tough game. It's a real tough game, and he's done okay. So considering I think he's definitely better than Mark Rucker. He is the better player in that pairing. A 1-0 loss to Chelsea on the right side of the midfield with Weston McKennie in there. Very, very popular heat map here with 74 touches, 83% pass accuracy. He's tried to get stuck in there, won a lot of duels. 4 tackles and 4 interceptions is pretty monstrous as well. That's very, very high. So, yeah, you can see what this kid's about. To be fair, the more I look at him, the more I'm talking myself into it that it wouldn't be that much of a bad signing, to be fair. I know he's not at the level of a Maddison or a Soberslai, but it would be somebody who could supplement that style of work ethic and pressing, who's very technically safe. But I don't think he really offers anything going forward. That's my issue.
Yeah, he could play in the 6, couldn't he? He could put him in the 6 and move Bruno up front if needed.
I'm not sure if he's got the skill set to play in the 6 or the awareness. Maybe. See, this would be somebody that could play in the Longstaff role, but not improve us offensively. Is my problem. I do really like him. I think he would improve a bunch of teams. I think he's a great player. I'm not sure he's what we need to take us to the next level. I think he would improve our squad and our squad quality. Because right now we've had to push Gordon into midfield, and we're looking at we don't want to be playing Matt Ritchie in midfield and stuff. Whereas I don't know, it's a tough one. I would rather we went with some of the other links like a Veiga, Maddison, or a Soberslai. Even though I like Tyler Adams. I think it would have been a great signing maybe 12 months ago, 18 months ago, but now I think possibly we're a little bit beyond that now, unless the club think they could suddenly turn him into producing 5 goals, 5 assists for us, because there's no output there. Can't we get somebody that can do what he can do and give us a bit more output? Like Maddison plays, obviously Maddison plays as a winger, attacking midfielder as well. But I'd rather sign somebody who can give us 10 to 15 or more contributions per season and do the same job.
I
That's
agree.
just my take anyway.
I agree. Dave said, talking about Richie, what about him getting a new contract? I've seen today.
Yeah. I don't know. It might just be a case of trying to keep the core players of the squad together, just to try and maintain some squad harmony in the dressing room atmosphere. And I don't think it's for any reasons on the pitch. I think that's fair to say.
Thomas, any watch-alongs past for the plan for the FA Cup final, Champions League, getting withdrawal symptoms? I don't think we'll do one for the FA Cup final, but every chance Champions League, every chance.
I mean, I would happy to do a watch along for all of them and help out. It's not a problem. I wouldn't mind watching Man City. I wouldn't mind watching Man City beat Man United. I want to see Man United lose a cup final. That would be very nice.
Perhaps we could do one for the cup final then. We'll see. I'll be up for that. As soon as Man United take the lead, though, and if they get 2 or 3 ahead, we can cancel the shot. Don't want to see that. I've already seen them win one cup final this year. I didn't like. Obviously, this one wouldn't be as bad. Obviously, suppose I play Saturday if you want to watch him play live.
I wouldn't mind.
Is it a German Cup final, maybe?
It could be. Let's have a look.
The league's finished, isn't it?
Yeah, the league's finished. Leipzig have got the DFB Pokal final against Frankfurt. Yeah, okay. I mean, when's that? That's the 3rd at 7 p.m. I mean, to be fair, I'd do a cheeky watch along for that game, but of course, most people won't be able to watch it.
They're the best ones to do watch alongs for, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'd. Fox said, I said on Tuesday, so I'd like to just go for younger than Maddison, like Veiga or Almeida. Then a link to Veiga yesterday. All the recent rumoured players I wouldn't mind. You did indeed. Is Milik Schar's long lost brother, says Trolls.
No, definitely not.
Oh, another one that was mentioned today again was Scott McTominay. That rumoured link won't go away.
I mean, again, it's another one of those signings that I would be okay with it if the money's correct. If we could get Scott McTominay for like 10, okay, squad depth, fine, whatever. If it doesn't work out, we can probably get the money back. If it's like 30 plus, absolutely no way. Nowhere near my squad, please. Like it depends on the context of the transfer. Because he's not as bad as everybody makes out. He's better than the depths of our squad. He's going to be more useful to us than sort of Richie and Fraser, isn't he? He's going to be able to play a role in midfield when we've got a 60+ game season. So,
Ab says, Hal said we are looking at a small pool of players and it will be a difficult window. So I suspect the majority of these links to the media, clickbait, false news.
Did he say that? Isn't that just copy and pasted from a previous window? I'm pretty sure that's what he said the window before.
And he's not going to come out and say we're going to be really busy, we're going to spend loads of money. He's not going to give away his hand, is he? So, yeah, well, I'll take that with
but Abs, you've got to remember, he did, last summer we bought Botman, who was one of the best young centre-backs in Europe, and then Isak, one of the best young forwards in Europe as well. So, by that logic, we might buy 2 of the best young players in Europe again. I'm fine with that. Polish Chris Wood. He literally is the Polish Chris Wood. I'm sorry, but he is.
She says Milik is the Kraft's long lost brother.
I can see it.
Semen's going nowhere, says Polish Wood. Sean says that was cruel. Alex has seen Arkadiusz Milik much more than anyone else has. I can guarantee you that. I remember seeing him
unless there's any Marseille fans in the chat.
The Euros 2016, he didn't look too bad then, but I mean, to be honest,
that was 7 years ago, Billy.
Yeah, exactly. Not yesterday. There you go. You got any more secret last minute ones, Alex? Just to finish off.
I think we can keep a few in the box for another night.
Box for another time.
We've got lots and lots to come. Ferran Torres is on the list. Don't you worry. We will have a look at Ferran Torres.
Majiba says he can come and be third choice striker behind Isak and Wilson.
He's not going to be ahead of either of those two. So
Dave said we'd like to if we'd gone for João Pedro. I've checked out this pronunciation of that. Going to be a good signing for Brighton. Of course, he was being welcomed into the club by last season, wasn't he? But certainly in the nose. Still never signed.
Yeah,
806 watching. Click the like button. Indeed. We've got 850 now. James, who was a Swedish kid from Coventry who we linked with? That's Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah, he's very good.
£25 million will get you him, but lots of competition for him. I imagine if we were to go for him, we would be the top dog though, because
I could see him going to a newly promoted side.
Yeah, I think so. I think Burnley linked.
Yeah, Burnley or Sheffield United or somebody like that trying to throw some money at him to help him stay up.
I think Wolves fancy him and all, to be honest.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think Wolves quite fancy him. Lots of saying I'd love João Pedro. Why do I keep saying wow? João Pedro. Gift Orban's another one. I like Gift Orban, only 20 years old.
Have we been linked with him though? I've not seen any links. Like I know, I'm aware of the story and I'm aware of the player. From Africa and in his appearance in the Moldovan Premier League, and then he hit the ground running and started playing really well in, is it Belgium? I think it might have been Belgium. Yeah, I know the story, but I don't know if he's been linked to us. He's got to have been, reasonably linked for us to do a show on him.
Foxy giving his Milik. Milik came for the youth with Rozwoj before joining
Rozvoj. Rozvoj Katowice, I think.
Rozvoj Katowice before joining Gornik. Good solid pro, not for us though. Well, João Felix was linked today, wasn't he? I mean, he's gone back to Atletico.
Was he?
Yeah, and they're trying to palm off on loan for a year. So, I wouldn't mind him. But apparently his attitude isn't great. But don't forget, guys, if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, hit that thumbs up button. It does really help us out in the search engine of YouTube and gets us shared with like-minded football supporters and fans. And if you're new to the channel also, please give us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny to do so. We are heading towards 21,000 at the moment. Super Chat's still available, and memberships also. Just join the button. We'll get you a membership, which is a paid subscription, basically. Let's just take one or two more comments before we hit the road, Jack. Let's see what we got here. Jesper Blomqvist, said Alkmaar. No, they used to be Jesper Blomqvist years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's quite highly rated on football games and stuff, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure he's been linked. Well, when people need to, if people are going to suggest players, if you put the link down or guide me to where we've been linked to him, I can literally add him to the list and we can do him. But we have rules.
We have a $2 super chat from Ruben. Do we have a chance to get Kim Min Jae?
Yes. Of course we have a chance. It doesn't mean we'll get him. Doesn't mean we want him necessarily either.
Have you been keeping an eye on the World Cup in the 20 tournament? England got robbed yesterday with a dodgy VAR decision.
I haven't, but I do need to watch some games.
100%. Great comments by Schar, says the clone lad, saying Eddie's the best manager he has worked with.
Yeah, I did. I think I saved that because I was so impressed with that. Let me see if I've got those comments. Did you see it, Billy?
I did see it, yeah. I did see it on Twitter today, yeah.
Yeah, so Eddie Howe, not Eddie Howe. So Fabian Schar on Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe is the best coach of my career. It's difficult to define in just one area. He has so many good facets. His training theory is first class. There's not even a hint of boredom in any meeting, and what he announces always makes sense. It's very high praise from Fabian Schar, who is obviously one of the older senior members of the squad. And is a good pro, so that's very high praise.
Abs would be delighted with two top quality players. We need to get the squad spread out. Another one that was linked today was Harvey Barnes. Another one. He was kind of been accepted, and one of the things I saw, but obviously take it with a pinch of salt. Toon Olgard says, "LA Olgard, I've always liked Rafa Mir from Sevilla. And there's too bad there's no link to him. Indeed, Cancelo. I think Cancelo's has been linked, but very, not the best links in the world. But we need a left back, don't we? It'd be a fantastic signing, Cancelo. I'd love to get in. Very dear, though. Very
Billy,
dear.
check their private chat as well.
Okie dokie. Yes, indeed. Keith Dites has gifted 5 memberships, so big thanks to you, Keith. Real nice present for someone. 5 members there. We'll get a free membership from Keith. So well done to you, Keith Dites, over there in America. Very, very, very nice gesture indeed. Brilliant. I saw a comment now I wanted to highlight, and I can't find it now. Everyone say goodbye. Oh, hang on. Tanguy Vivid says the teenage wonderkid at Fenerbahce. What's the latest on him? Which is Ardagula.
Yeah. I'm quite happy with this, to be fair, because we've done shows on Guler and Veiga. We did them like a month and a half, 2 months ago. So we've definitely nipped it in the bud with some of these early rumours and talked about them. So I'm quite proud that we got that in. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. There's been a lot of rumours that he's visited with his parents. His favourites are Barcelona and us. But again, it's just all paper talk. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he is a ridiculously talented player.
That clip you sent me the other day with that pass.
Yeah, he did the same. So if everybody remembers Joe Willock's assist that he got, where he outside of the right foot, Guler for Fenerbahce did the same thing with his left foot and played somebody in. It was very similar. And he nutmegged somebody before he played the pass as well. He's very good. This
comment isn't going to make sense to a lot of people here. It might make sense to you, Alex. Billy, take Madders for a bacon batch and get him to sign.
That Coventry thing, is it?
A bacon batch is basically a bacon roll, bacon, whatever you want to call it. But in Coventry, they're called batches. You could do that. I could do that. I'll be having one of them tomorrow morning at work, strangely enough. That seems to be about it. There's another one I wanted to highlight, but I can't find it. Oh, there we go. It's Gift has no link, but he's the dog's bollocks, I believe, Nigerian playing for A against. Yes. I know there's another one. Predator says, would you like Son from Spurs? I've always liked him as a striker. Way too expensive, wouldn't he, I guess?
I think he would be too expensive, yeah. From Levy, I think we'd get that.
Finally, Asensio on a free. Aston Villa thought that the fans of Aston Villa thought they were getting him, but it looks like PSG have jumped in.
I mean, yeah, to PSG, that makes a lot of sense, to be fair. And that's why PSG will never win the Champions League. They're just picking up everybody else's, castaways like that.
Right, that'll do for us. We've been on over an hour now. We've reviewed 3 players, whether you like them or not. I mean, some of them obviously more than others. Veiga's obviously going to be a great player for somebody. Hopefully, it could be us. Don't know what the plans are for the channel for the rest of the week. Definitely going to be a show Sunday. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. Keep you on the notifications.
Possibly a show tomorrow. So yeah, keep an eye out.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks to all you lot for watching. Thanks to Super Chats. Thanks for Keith for gifting those memberships. Thanks to the mods in the background. Thanks to Alex for joining me and his fantastic work that he does day in, day out, looking at these players for us to look at. And thanks to you for watching. But all that remains for me to say is good night to you all. Have a great rest of Thursday, Friday, start to my weekend. Alex, you've got to do my bit.
Away the lads and lasses.
We'll see you soon. Good night.
Come back and check out some breathing.